Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bad Big Games. I'm your host, Joseph. Today, we're going to talk about the next generation, the future of gaming. And is that future streaming? And is the company to do it Google? So, with all that said and with all that out of the way, Future Joe, roll the intro. You heard right. Google is looking to get into the console market. The same with Microsoft and PlayStation. The same with Nintendo. It looks like Google wants to enter the gaming field in a really unique way by not just offering a piece of hardware, but offering the cloud, the magical cloud, by offering a streaming service that'll make it so that you don't need generations again. In fact, you don't need to really buy consoles ever again. If that's the way Google sees it, that's the way Google wants it. And it looks like from these leaks coming from Kotaku, that's exactly what their plan is, which makes a lot of sense because, ever since E3, we've heard a lot about streaming becoming the future of video games, right? Just like how we heard digital was going to be the future of video games, that physical media was going to slowly but surely fizzle out, and we've seen it. It has. So is streaming the future? EA thinks so. Microsoft and Ubisoft think so. They all said it on their stages at E3. They've all expressed interest in streaming. And we're seeing, PlayStation with PlayStation Now start their own streaming service. So with that, streaming has to be the future, right? I mean, up until this point, nobody's cracked the code. You got input lag, you got latency, kind of ruining the experience. We saw it with OnLive and hell, depending on where you play PlayStation Now, you get a rough experience depending on if you live in a more rural area than a metro area. And so with that, no one's figured out streaming. And to me, I'm skeptical, and I still am because I haven't seen it for myself yet. We saw that mobile games were going to be the future. Remember when people thought that this generation was the last generation, just like how so many other analysts are saying that the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox, Nextbox is going to be the last of their generations? We heard the same song and dance before. It was just a different pair of shoes, that being mobile instead of streaming. And we see that, hey, mobile games are huge. They're the biggest, if not the second biggest market in video games. But consoles are growing as well. Consoles haven't died. They haven't slowed down. In fact, it's better than ever. The gaming industry, the gaming marketplace is better than ever. We can coexist. So when we see streaming services, the one thing that I worry about is we already see four major players have an interest in streaming services. And I just feel like some of them might be a little rushed, might not be the best in terms of quality, but to me, the thing that worries me even more is that they're all going to cannibalize each other. And they're all not going to have a backlog of libraries because they're all trying to compete with each other. They're all going to have these closed ecosystems. They're all not going to play nice with each other, and someone is going to get hurt. That's what my feelings are when it comes to streaming is, A, we're not there yet, and B, the way that the industry just plays follow the leader, I think is going to just hurt streaming. So when I hear some analysts tell me that in the near future, 5 years from now, streaming is going to be the future and that's all you're going to do, I'm skeptical because I want a nerd with some glasses, with some broken ones, a matter of fact, and tell me how this system works and how they've solved it. Because to me, no one's figured it out, and I don't even think anyone's close. But if there is a company to figure out streaming, it's 100% Google. And that's where Google walks into this equation. That's where I start turning around and I'm interested because let's be honest with each other here. There are some roadblocks when it comes to streaming, especially here in the United States. You have net neutrality dead, thanks a lot FCC. You have poor internet infrastructure, especially when you go to the Midwest, to the South. It is hard to say that streaming is going to be the future when, again, the infrastructure in one of your biggest, if not the biggest market, isn't that great to begin with. So if there's anybody that can do it, it's Google, and they can do it. And whether you realize it or not, or whether you like it or not, you deal with Google on a daily basis. They're in your cars, they're in your homes, they're in your TVs, they're in your phones, they're your internet communication device, right? They're your email with Gmail. Google's everywhere. And if there's anybody that can handle the internet or knows the internet more than Google, I don't know who else does, right? If there's anyone that understands how to, maintain high speeds and with a high amount of demand and traffic, it's Google. And so with that, this console does excite me because if anybody could get streaming right, if streaming can be done in the first place in the next 5 years, the company to figure it out is Google. Because everybody, as of right now, is either saying, yeah, it's the future, or what we've seen isn't too impressive. I'm looking at you, PlayStation Now. But to me, it's not the streaming thing that gets me excited about Google entering the console market, if they do decide to enter it, that is. To me, it is disruptive and it is a game changer, but in a different way. Is how now does PlayStation look at Xbox and how does Xbox look at PlayStation? Are they competitors anymore? What does this mean for the future of crossplay? I mean, think about it. If you're Microsoft, this does put you in a bit of a pickle because you have this play with anyone slogan. Are you going to play nice with Google? Like, are you going to say, you know what, Google, come be a part of the fun? Or are you going to shut them out like PlayStation's shutting you out right now? Because think about it. Microsoft and Google go head to head in so many marketplaces. Why would you let a competitor, your true blue competitor, the person that is eating your lunch in so many of your marketplaces, the people that have killed your hopes and your dreams for a mobile device, those people, Google, they are your competition, 100%. Are you going to play nice with them? That's a question. That is a question that is worth asking and is really just something that boggles my mind. Like, how is Sony maybe playing the long game? Are they actually right by not allowing crossplay now? Do they see the tea leaves from Google? Have they heard the same things we have? And that's why they're so hesitant? Because if there's anybody that can lose the most here, it's Sony, right? Google and Microsoft, they're hundreds of $billion industries here. Sony, though, they're no slouch either. They have money in the bank. They don't have the money that Microsoft or Google has. They don't have the luxury that Google has of taking a whole bunch of money, throwing it somewhere, and seeing where it lands, right? This isn't Google's sole base of income the way that PlayStation is so integral to Sony. That's the thing that is more interesting to me, is how the power dynamic is going to work if this thing works at all. Because if this just appeals to people in metro areas, is that marketplace large enough to help sustain you as a business? Or are those people, those are words I want to use, already, dedicated to the PlayStation or Xbox brand? I don't know. How is Google going to solve things like party chat? How are they going to do, an Xbox Live type service? Will they have third-party support? Will Ubisoft, will EA take their, streaming services to Google, or even just go, just put all the Mass Effects on Google's thing? How will it work? Those are the questions that interest me the most. To me, at the end of the day, though, I still don't see streaming being the future. I just see stockholders and analysts tell me that it is. Just like the same way they said that 3D and VR was going to be the future of gaming, and we saw how those things have went, right? 3D, dead. VR, not as big as of an industry that any of the companies would like it to be at this very point in time. It's still rather a niche. And so with that, we've seen these fads before. Again, we saw that, mobile was going to kill the consoles, and yet here we are. Yeah, do I think physical media is dead? Absolutely. GameStop, love you, sayonara. I'll buy physical stuff when it comes in collector's editions. But nonetheless, like anything else, yeah, no, physical's done. I just kind of feel like just because streaming might happen doesn't mean it's the future of video games. Like, I have Netflix and I love it to death, but I also have a library on iTunes because some movies I can't get on Netflix, or some movies I just want to really support them. Blade Runner, man, I love that movie. I'm going to buy it on iTunes. I want to support that movie and those creators. And so with that, I think that streaming can be a thing, and streaming can live in its own ecosystem, and same with people who just want to buy digitally. Just like with Game Pass, I think is the best example out of all, and I'll end this little tangent of a rant. Look at Game Pass, right? You can buy into it, $10 a month, you get all the first party Xbox games, or you just buy them. And we see that gamers prefer a little bit of both. I think that's what can happen here. To me, there are questions that get me excited. Do I think that Google's going to be the thing that takes down everybody? I don't think so. And at the end of the day, we haven't seen this thing. So with that, those are my thoughts on streaming. That's my thoughts on the Google console. I want to know what your thoughts of this whole thing are down below. Are you interested to see what Google has to offer? Is your internet not that great, so you're kind of skeptical on the whole thing? Let your voice be heard down below in the comment section, because here at Bad Big Games, we talk about all things video games. Whether it's Microsoft, whether it's PlayStation, whether it's Nintendo, PC, or look at Google. We love video games, and that's why we love to talk about them so much. So if you like that, please hit like, share, subscribe, because we do news like this, rants like these, opinion pieces like these, first impressions. We do the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players. Yeah, I let that bias be known. Every single Wednesday here at Bad Big Games. And all of this couldn't be possible for the people over there at patreon.com/makeusbetter, where you guys and gals make me better day in, day out. Thank you all so much. Thank you and welcome PSVG into the Make Us Better community. Holy crap, as the last few days have been insane, but it's been so exciting. So with that, everybody, thank you all for watching. Keep your wits about you and have a nice one.